every morning. It's kind of like we start class and I just jump in. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so let's go back to the poem series. All right, so you guys are already familiar with what we're doing with the protest poetry. You know that. For this week, the questions or what you are responding to in your journals is meaning. What do you identify to be the meaning of the poem? So what does the poem mean? That's first part this poem is about. Second part is selecting a word, line, or phrase that resonated the most with you. So which one kind of touched you, you really felt it, and let me know why, okay? So we have that up. The poem today is Langston Hughes. Sorry to scroll like this. And I'm going to download the link to the poem in our chat box. So I'm sorry, while I just did all of that scrolling, let me go back up to the prompt. I don't want you guys to view it here. I'll keep this here because this is what you'll be writing too. But in chat, let me drop the link. Oh no, I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to. Are you guys seeing the poem on your screen right now?
No.
Okay, good. Going back to chat. All right, so I just dropped the link to the poem, Langston Hughes, I Look at the World. It's a relatively shorter poem. So if you guys click on the link within your chat box, it'll take you right to that window. And in addition to you guys having access to the poem, there's also a small window where you can learn a little bit more about the poet Langston Hughes. And I know you may be small understanding about him. We know he was a Harlem Renaissance poet, huge, prominent poet of that time. So you can get a little bit additional information, you know, from the space in the corner. But what I want you guys to really focus on is reading it, especially based on what we talked about yesterday, using the imagery. Let me know what it means to you. Let me know what lines or words you found more meaningful. Type it out, whether you're using Microsoft Word or Google Docs, or whether you're writing it out by hand. This time you guys will be saving the file, and on your own, you'll be dropping it into Google Drive. We're not worrying about that right now. Let's worry about reading and writing. So let's take about, I'll see where we are in about 15 minutes. Is that okay?
Okay.
Are there any questions you guys have? I'm sorry, say it again, Jamisha.
That wasn't me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamisha. Oh, Tamicia. I think Tamicia may be having some technical difficulties. Tamicia, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I didn't need nothing. I would just hit the button.
All right, you guys, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna check back in about 10 to 15 minutes to kind of see where we are. All right. I'm turning my camera off, but I'm still sitting right here. So if you have any questions, let me know. Are you guys able to see the prompt question? That's what's in front of you.
Huh?
Is the prompt question what you guys are viewing on your screen?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. All right. We are getting started on journal writing. 9. All right, you guys, how are we doing?
And we have a few more minutes.
Absolutely. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Cole, the questions was the same as yesterday, correct?
Look, that's correct. Look, I'm trying to undo. Yeah, that's correct. Exact same question. What's the meaning? And then from that, selecting a line or word or phrase that you found most meaningful and why. Let me put it back up. I stopped
Okay.
sharing. Let me put it back up. All right, so checking in with you really quickly, Julie. Oh, is this what you just dropped off is kind of, is this giving more information about, what is?
I think that was a mistake because I'm trying to
Oh,
ask
okay,
you.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys don't worry about that. Okay, I get it. All right, so how are we doing, guys? I had my head down. Did I miss the
I'm
thumb?
trying to put it in a Dropbox, but I still don't see how to do that.
Okay, so that's okay. The time that I want to allot in class is more so just for you guys to write it out. So write it out, and then the additional steps of saving and kind of putting it, well, definitely still save. And make sure when you're saving it, if you are writing out electronically, or even if you're taking a picture of the file, save it with your name so that I can kind of identify who this file is from, and also the journal entry number. So let's say, for instance, if I was saving my journal entry today, I would save it as the code journal entry 2, something like that, so that it's identifiable. Once you save it, you then click on the Google link. You can either pull up your doc. You guys saw the sample I showed you from how I had downloaded a document from a student who emailed me their version, and then I just pulled from the bottom of my screen and dropped it into the box. So what I really want to make sure you do is you complete it, you save it using your name and journal number, and you drop it in the box. So but you don't have to do that all now. All right, so Tara, you said it as well. All right, we'll
Like
practice.
I don't have the slot to add it. Like it's not showing me that.
All right, let me go back to this one more time. All right, so this is the Google Drive, and you said the slot to add it. So either you're adding it by clicking on New.
Yeah, I don't see that at all.
Okay. Because this is right from the link. Like I'm in the link. Oh, are you on your? I wonder would it look differently on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
Okay. All right, we'll work that out. Save your document. Hang on to it for now. We'll kind of work it out. We can kind of at the end of class take time to kind of do it step by step.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, the Google Drive link, if you guys will scroll up in your chat box, it's posted a couple times in the chat box. All right. If you're doing nothing else, make sure you're saving it. Okay. And submitting. Is there anybody who successfully submitted? I don't see Dwayne. Oh yeah, I see Dwayne. Dwayne submitted it yesterday in class.
I submitted after class.
All right, is there anybody who submitted it who were able to complete it and add it to the Dropbox now? Anyone? All right, that's okay. We'll talk about it. Look, I'm not letting Dropbox go. If you or Google Drive, so Jamisha, maybe Yamna too, after class, I can help you guys kind of walk through those steps. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah, you should be able. I think you can just submit it. I haven't looked. I'm using a laptop, so unfortunately, with you guys who are on the phone, I don't have that same screen to see what you're looking at on your phone. So after class, when we kind of set aside time, I may pull it up on my phone too, so I can kind of walk you through the screen or the view that you have.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Robert.
Okay, I'm one of the ones that has to take a picture of it on my phone, email it to me, and then put it in the Dropbox. So it's gonna be a process for
Okay, that's cool. As long as you guys just make sure you save it so it's easy to identify, that's fine. All right. Don't worry about that. Did everybody finish?
I think I just did it, Ms. Cole. I think.
Okay, let me check. Now I have something. Oh, I see journal entry number 2. Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
Now the catch with it being journal entry number 2 and no name attached, so I don't know who it came from. Oh, I see Tara Bennett. So I see Tara. Last edit made by Tara. Tara, I see yours. But make sure when you guys are saving it that you're putting your last name and the document number. So let me see.
Did you see mine, Miss Cole?
This is Tara Bennett. Let me check. I may just have to kind of click on a couple because without it being saved with a particular way, I'm just kind of blindly clicking on it to see what it is. It's
Oh,
again.
I put my name. It
Oh, you
says
did?
from
Okay.
my view, it says Jumisha Nichols.
Okay. Let me refresh. I don't see it, but that's okay. We'll talk about it after class. We'll work on it sidebar so I don't take up too much
Okay.
time on this. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Don't worry. As long as you have it and have it saved, we can get it. All right. Moving forward, I'm writing down journal again. I may have to try to find us an easier way, or I may make it what we do towards the end of class. Okay. So day 2 is journals. What did you guys think about the poem today? Was it a little bit easier to kind of digest and
Yeah.
decipher like meaning? It was 3 stanzas, so relatively shorter as well. All right, good. I can't wait to see what you guys, your thoughts and ideas. Now, as far as the guidelines for the journal, it should be a little bit more casual in that I really want to look at your ideas. But as writers, I would like for you all to, if you can, practice, writing as correctly as you can. So I don't want you to have a, monkey on your back where you're like, oh my goodness, constantly erasing, did I say this right? But if you can, like, eliminate abbreviations, what I call text language. Let's practice kind of like what I call like the development of ideas. So kind of clearly stating it and writing it out. I want us to really practice that, especially as we are learning strategies to kind of help strengthen us in terms of our writing skills. Did you guys get the email that I sent out? I sent some out yesterday and I sent some this morning where I gave a quick blurb on the feedback for your writing diagnostic. Like, I know Robert gave me a thumbs up. He received it. Yamna, I got your response. If you guys haven't checked your email yet, either last night or this morning, I began to send out just a quick blurb on feedback for your diagnostic, what you submitted in response to the Jason Oda article. And,
Okay.
and if you see the feedback, you see it's a really short blurb because I was looking for mainly 3 specific things with that assignment. Did the student answer the question? Did they follow directions? And I was looking at what is the student's idea of essay format? What is the student's idea of paragraph development? So the feedback kind of really sticks to those points. So I may say something like, the instruction was for multi-paragraph, but maybe students submitted 1 paragraph. So I may have made note of that. Maybe I said good essay structure, good paragraph formatting. That's because that's something I was specifically looking for. In some cases, I think I told students strong conclusion, insightful examples and supporting details. And again, that goes to paragraph development. So just to kind of help you guys make a little bit of sense out of the feedback that I gave with that. But in response to that writing exercise, yesterday we briefly talked about basic essay structure. So you guys remember that quick little video we watched on YouTube where the gentleman kind of broke down, basic understanding of the parts of an essay. I want to explore that a little bit further. I want to remind you all that in this class, it is the writing that we do, especially what will go in your portfolio at the end of the semester and what you are producing for that final CRT. It's the academic essay. So we are following that model of intro, body paragraphs, and conclusion. That is kind of the formatting, essay formatting that this class is adhering to. I see your hand, Shania.
I'm sorry, but this don't have nothing to do with the topic you're talking about.
Okay, that's okay.
I did math off Google Docs, and I don't see where it's a draft at. Do I have to share it to you first?
No, the link that I shared in the chat box, it is the actual drive. So once you click on that link, you are in Google Drive. So
Okay.
from there, you either drag and drop the document. You can, using that new box, click to upload it.
Excuse me, but you have to download it first. Then you can upload it. Because
So
if you
you
did it
mean
on
download the
if you did it on your
the document, Dwayne?
yeah, if you did it on your offline, you have to download it and then you could drag it over, because if you don't download it, it's not going to be able to drag over.
Right. Yeah. So if you're dragging, but if you are like uploading it, you can click that new. But yeah, you're right, Dwayne. So you're saying you would have to
Even if you upload it, you still got to download it first.
Oh, you do. Okay. Okay. So that's a good note. I'll make point of that, Dwayne. Thank you. And Dwayne, so after class, if I don't go too far over, could you perhaps just stay about maybe 5 or so minutes after class to kind of help if a student has a question with me? What do you think?
I'll try. I'm not gonna lie.
If you can, I won't hold you to it if you can, okay?
All right.
Shania, put a pin in that for just a second, because I don't want you guys to be kind of distracted with what we're working on right now. So save it.
Okay.
Now, how are you doing this, Shania? Are you doing it writing it out and taking a picture?
No, I typed it.
You type it, okay. So for now, save that document, and then towards the end of class, we'll go through how to download it and then upload it to Google Drive.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Oh, Alejandro, I see your question about the diagnostic. Now, I did email you a copy of that, so double check your email. Oh, I'm sorry, you sent that to me privately. It's okay, sorry. All right, so picking back up on the writing, I just want to quickly reiterate with you guys what we talked about yesterday as far as writing expectations of the class. So I have this really quick presentation. Maybe I should have got it started with slideshow. All right, so you guys can kind of see my presentation on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So again, what I could tell from the writing diagnostic is, for the most part, students, I could tell, had basic essay structure knowledge. So I could see an attempt to write an introduction. I could also see an attempt to build body paragraphs. So again, I think that basic knowledge is there. There are some things that I want to add to that, especially before we are introduced to our first essay assignment in this class. One thing I want to point out is that if you can write a paragraph, you have everything you need already to write an essay. The academic paragraph and the academic essay, they follow the exact same outline. So where the paragraph begins with a topic sentence, the essay has the intro, right? That introduces the thesis statement. Where the paragraph has the supporting sentences, your academic essay has supporting paragraphs. And where the academic paragraph has a concluding statement or sentence, the academic essay has the conclusion. So both have the exact same parts. The only difference is the development, the ideas that you guys include to it. So I want you to feel comfortable at least knowing those parts. So I said, think of the organization of an essay as modeling the organization of a paragraph, with one idea being explained by supporting details. So we talked about these parts the other day with the video where we were introduced to introduction, body, and conclusion. So I want to go a little bit more into that. Before you can formulate an essay, there are steps that need to take place before that. So planning and organizing your essay is just as important as the sitting down and writing that essay. We want to begin to think about what we want to say before we put pen to paper. So there's a process involved, and planning and organization for the essay requires more time than what you would, of course, have if you were writing a paragraph. But again, that process is still the same. I utilize what I call a 5-step writing method. And that is what, when we together as a class work on writing, and you guys will see, sometimes we'll workshop, sometimes we will individually go through each step together, but there's 5 steps that I want you all to be familiar with when writing your essay. Normally, first, we will generate ideas. We'll brainstorm, think about the topic, and think about our position or ideas on that topic. From there, we go through planning and organizing, which we take the time to look at our notes, our brainstorming notes, and formulate the thesis statement. If you guys remember from the video yesterday, the gentleman referred to the thesis statement as the single most important sentence in your essay. Everything that you discuss in your essay, in those body paragraphs, they are all working to support and develop the thesis. I see your hand, Shania.
Didn't you say the thesis was a part of our introduction, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the ending, right?
Yes, and that's a good question. As you guys, matriculate through college and you get more experience, you will learn that there are ways of kind of moving around the rules. So even though I'm telling you that, yes, your thesis is traditionally in your introduction, sometimes you can move around that. Sometimes the thesis is not stated, it's implied. But before we kind of start moving between the rules, I want us to just have a firm understanding of what those rules are. So yes, traditionally, when you are writing your introduction, you are introducing your thesis. That is the purpose of the introduction, is to present your main idea or your main point. Okay, so yeah, that's good. You also pointed out, Shania, should that thesis statement be the last sentence in your introduction? And there's debate about that. I say yes, because I think that the way an introduction works is the student should lay out background, some type of attention-grabbing hook or a summary before diving into how they will discuss or talk about that topic. But we'll, go into that a little bit later. I did want to take a little bit of extra time to discuss the thesis statement, because next week we are going to focus heavy on thesis. So just to kind of give you guys, kind of basic ideas about it. A thesis operates in the exact same way as a topic sentence. It normally is a tool for your reader to let them know what that essay will discuss, and how you plan to talk about the topic, okay? Important thing, again, I'm going to reiterate, your thesis is a tool. Not only is it a tool for your reader, letting them know what your essay will discuss, but it's also a tool for the writer. Once you know what your thesis is, you know what information you'll need to add in order to support it. You'll know how to introduce it. So establishing that before you get started in your writing process is most important. It says the thesis statement should not only identify the topic, but it should also express your main point about the topic. So I don't know if you guys remember from yesterday's discussion, I gave a formula, And the formula was your thesis is normally the topic plus a controlling idea, your opinion. So normally a thesis will give an opinion about the topic. So let me give an example. If we are talking about texting, okay, let's say texting is the topic. Now, you can take a topic such as texting and you can attach to that your ideas about it. So maybe you may think that texting is an effective way of communication, right? Let's see a chat question. Oh, that's Julie. Maybe you may think that texting is a distraction and it tends to, you know, look, I'm trying to freestyle a thesis, but you know, maybe you feel that a thesis is a distraction and that it's keeping people from openly communicating with each other. You guys see the topic is still the same. We're still talking about texting, but the viewpoints change depending on your opinion or your controlling idea about that, okay? So the thesis will normally communicate your idea on a topic. Okay, so just like with the diagnostic where you guys were asked, do you agree or disagree? That is setting it up for you to give your opinion on that topic, right? So the topic was, what is Jason Oda's main idea in, you know, misspelling of, and do you agree or disagree with it? So some of you, without knowing it, you produced a thesis statement by responding to that question. I agree with Jason Oda's main idea because, right? So again, your thesis will always express a idea or controlling idea about the topic. A thesis is not something that just springs in your head. It will require planning, drafting, and in some cases, revision. So talk a little bit more. It's not letting me do it this way. Uh-oh, sorry, you guys. All right, so I talked about that. Okay, so when it comes to, again, your thesis, it should state the main point of your essay. It should not focus on detail. So your thesis, you shouldn't attempt to put too much information in your thesis. You don't need to give your readers a summary or entire blurb of what your paper will be about. You present your position or your idea on the topic, and the body paragraph works to explain, support, provide evidence or details that develop, you know, that main idea or thesis statement. So again, we'll practice on that. We will have exercises next week that will help us to write and formulate effective thesis statements. So I'll kind of move through this a little fast. A thesis statement should be an assertion. So here's what I noticed in the diagnostic writing. I would see sometimes where students would say, I believe, or I think, or I feel. When presenting a thesis, you want to sound sure. So you want to assert. Assertion means forcefully declare, right? You want to present to your reader that I'm credible on this topic. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure of my position or stand on it. So anytime you include words like I think, that uncertainty will be transferred to your reader. You know, they will say, well, are they sure about it? You know, so we'll talk about strategies on eliminating that language such as I feel, I believe, or I think. Your thesis should always be an assertion. Clearly state, you know, your opinion or ideas about that topic. Your thesis should also express a viewpoint or state an approach to that topic. So we talked about Jason Oda, where you guys said, I agree or disagree. That is an approach to the topic. One thing to know about this class is anytime you guys are writing an essay paper, the prompt that I give, it will almost always be a question. So in responding to the question, it always helps. It's a really useful strategy in helping students get started on a thesis statement. All right, again, we talked about it should be specific and as detailed as possible. And we'll work on strategies a little bit more for that next week. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But one thing about the thesis statement as well is it should suggest the organization of the essay. So where I stated earlier that your thesis statement, or a synonym for that would be your main idea of your essay, a tool that, or a role that it plays for the writer, for you, is once I know what my thesis is, I then organize my paper so I can kind of lay out my case or lay out why I feel the way I do. So not only is a thesis useful for your reader, it lets them know what this essay will discuss and talk about. It is also useful for the writer in helping you outline and organize your details of an essay. So let me just kind of pause for a second here and ask the room. When you guys write essays in the past, what element did you struggle the most with? What normally was problematic? What did you find problematic about writing a paper or an essay?
Fragment sentencing.
Fragment sentences. Okay. What else?
I have fragment and run-on sentences.
Okay. So that's mainly grammar, right? So that's mainly more when we get to right, I'm sorry.
And the introduction always the hard.
Okay, intro. I hear that often. A lot of times students tell me, I know what I want to say, I just struggle with getting started, right? I can almost, right? Did I hear you agree?
Sometimes I be having problems with my introduction as well. Like, I be wanting to know, like, how should I start it off, basically comparing, like, exactly to the story, or like going outside of the story, or comparing it to the world, basically. Stuff like that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So your question and approach, right? You know, yeah. Okay, I get that. What else, you guys?
Because I can write a whole, I have the paper, but I can't start it.
Yeah, that's very common. Anybody want to add to that?
The structure of the essay.
Structure. All right, good. So we'll learn with that too.
And also, when we start the body paragraph.
So transitioning from one paragraph to the next.
I know how to transition into the next paragraph. Yeah, basically like.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, what else, you guys? You think we got it kind of covered of what normally you struggle with, what normally gets in the way of you completing an essay or a paper? All right, so with that feedback, the thesis can almost help in every area. So you guys threw out introduction. A lot of times students struggle in getting started with their essays because they have not yet developed their main idea. They don't know yet what they plan to talk about or their position on the topic. And when you try to start a paper by first, let me try to introduce, it is very hard to introduce an idea that you have not yet developed. So I see students a lot of times struggling with, okay, so how do I get started? How do I get started? And then I ask them, well, what is your position on the topic? What are you going to write about? And that's what they hadn't really formulated yet, hadn't really tied down. So I begin the writing process in this class almost always with brainstorming, generating ideas, but then we move to planning and organizing your thesis. Because before you can introduce it, before you can even give any background information about it to your audience, you have to know, your main idea. You have to kind of know, what do you plan to discuss? And once you know that, it's easier to introduce it. It's easy to kind of break it down for your audience, give them the background information, whether you're using attention grabbers. Maybe you want to use a quote. Well, you would want to pick a quote that's relevant to your thesis or main idea of the text. So one thing to help with that is thesis, kind of that planning again and organizing. And then before you get started on your intro, as long as you know that thesis, it's easier to kind of introduce or present it to your audience. I see your hand, Shania.
Okay, so once we understand our introduction, and start on our body, when we first start on our body, will it go back to the introduction and then start off with the body?
It won't necessarily go back to the introduction, but it will definitely go back to your thesis. So
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The thesis is the driving force. So the thesis, I would say, almost is the pilot. It is what is leading the discussion. It's the driving force. Everything falls in line with the thesis. So once you know the thesis, and we'll talk about strategies where sometimes people lay out their reasons in a thesis. So an example would be, I agree with Jason Oda's main idea because traditions are normally old-fashioned. Beliefs change from person to person, and everybody is free to feel how they feel. So that's a freestyle. It's a little rough. But did you see how I kind of laid out 3 points that I was attaching to my main idea? Well, where you mentioned, Shania, that sometimes structure, Shania and Julie both, sometimes you struggle with structure. Thesis can help with structure. Once you have that main idea tied down and you've laid out reasons, well, that first reason, that's what you'll talk about in your first body paragraph. So it not only can operate as a tool for your reader, it helps you outline your paper. So you already know from your thesis what your first body paragraph will talk about. That second reason you laid out in your thesis, that's what your second body paragraph will discuss and support. That third reason you laid out in your thesis is what the third body paragraph will cover. So it works almost as an outline for you. So where you talked about, body paragraphs, how do I kind of know what I'll cover or talk about in each body paragraph? The thesis informs that. And you pointed out as well, Julie, structure. And that's kind of what we're working on now. Once you know what an introduction should do, then you kind of apply that. And once you know what the body paragraph should do, they offer support and development, then your writing would apply that. When you know that the conclusion is to reiterate your thesis and address why it all matters, you can then apply that information. So a lot of the issues with structure deals with just kind of knowing what should my introduction be doing? What role is it playing? What's its job? And once you know that, that helps with structure as well. So next week we are diving into this head first. We're really working on a thesis because next week we'll be introduced to our first paper topic. So we'll get a little bit more on that. So this is more so of a preview. Let me take us through a couple more. Yeah, so this is a little bit more information on thesis that I'm not sure I want to get into right now. This may support our reading, our homework over the weekend a little bit more. Sorry. All right. So I'll come back to this, but again, what I wanted to reiterate from yesterday's class, where we learned about the basic structure of the academic essay. Yes, it's important to know intro, body, and conclusion, but what will drive it all is our thesis statement. So I want you guys to stay mindful of that. Homework that we'll have for today, the reading of Helen Keller's The Most Important Day, that is directly attached to thesis study and instruction for next week. So we will get more practice on that. There even will be time in class for workshopping. So you guys formulating your own thesis statements, and in real time, you can kind of get feedback on what works and what doesn't work. So we're definitely diving into writing next week. So from what we talked about, are there any questions so far with the basic essay structure? And if you guys haven't read the week 2 module, I've included in that a handout to help with our understanding for that as well. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. All right. Just kind of a soft, you know, not so much more warning, but to get you guys ready for that discussion on journal. I'm sorry, on essay writing and a thesis statement. Okay, so one thing that I meant to cover with you guys yesterday that I didn't get a chance to, and that's also included in our week 2 module. Did you guys get a chance to look at the 8 basic parts of speech review sheet?
Yes.
I hear some people say yes. If not, even though that I'm kind of assigning things, you know, day by day during that week 2, you guys at your own pace and at your own leisure can read the information that's in those modules. So let me show you something. Let me pull it up. So I had that presentation. So I may be going a little bit old school on you, but I just need to kind of test you guys' knowledge on the 8 basic parts of speech. Now, normally I would go into a very long, week-long discussion of it, but with us being the shorter summer school session, what I want you guys to complete for me is a 8 basic parts of speech diagnostic. So rather than assume you know nothing about it, I'll just give a diagnostic, and from there, it can pinpoint areas of weakness. But when we talk about 8 basic parts of speech, you guys know what I mean with that, right? Those are our nouns, verbs, prepositions, adverbs, adjectives. Do you guys remember this? Is this sounding familiar?
Yes.
It's a little bit old school. It may be
Yes.
dusty in our recollection, but I want us to take a little bit of time to refamiliarize ourselves with the 8 basic parts of speech, because when we get to writing assignments, sometimes my feedback will say things like, you know, watch your verb use. You're shifting from present to past tense. I may say something like, use more adjectives here. So if I use this language, I just want to make sure that you guys are familiar with that information. So let me pull up the document. Oh, I have a chat. And you guys will be viewing it from our Brightspace page, so things look a little bit funny when it's shown through this lens. All right, if you haven't read it yet, this is definitely reading for this week. And it's what I call a review sheet. So I basically put together a cheat sheet for you guys. This is a resource for the class. So it gives you information about nouns. It gives you information about all of the 8 basic parts of speech: pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, verbs, etc. So you guys have the access to this in the event that you identify in the diagnostic that you may be weak in those particular areas. So I would like for you to use the results of the diagnostic, which we're going to take in just a second, to point you to this handout. If after completing the diagnostic, it shows that you need to focus more in areas of preposition or conjunctions, then you have this review sheet or cheat sheet for you to kind of come back and just kind of refresh your understanding of it. So we have this here for you, but without you guys using this so much to help you complete the diagnostic, I want us just on our basic knowledge to complete this. I'm about to drop a link in our chat, and the link is for a 10-question, 8 basic parts of speech diagnostic. So you guys can do it just right on your computer. They'll ask questions, you click on it, and in real time, they give you the results. So right away, you're able to see what areas you missed, and it'll tell you nouns, it'll tell you pronouns. And from that information, you guys will jot it down, make a note. That is prompting you to a little bit more study in those areas, okay? But before we begin our discussion on grammars, because some of you brought up you struggle in fragment sentences, run-on sentences, perhaps maybe what I call awkward phrasing. It's not that there's an error so much with the sentence, it's just that it perhaps could be more simply stated. All of that still falls back on your knowledge of these 8 basic parts of speech. So let me drop this link. All right. So you guys see the link. You would click on the link. It's going to, and it'll take you quickly through these 10 questions. I'm going to just pause for a second with my, lecture and give you guys a little bit of time to kind of quickly complete that. And then we'll talk about the results when you guys are done, okay? Is everybody accessing it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. It's somewhat of a, I think it's only 10 questions, you guys. How are we doing? Is anyone done?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you guys are stuck on anything, if you get stuck on any one particular part, kind of make a guess, but I want you to resist the temptation to look it up, only because I want to go off, it's a diagnostic. So based on what the skills you have, what do you know? That's how we get the best results. Okay, thanks, Tara. Okay, so I know a couple of you are done. Ordinarily, if we were in the classroom, I can kind of see when pencils stop moving. But if you guys are either throw me a done or kind of give me a thumbs up if you're done, just so I can kind of monitor it, so you're not sitting here too long.
I'm done.
Okay, thanks, Yamna.
After you're done, what is
How I submit this?
You don't submit it. You just make note of the results at the bottom.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So at the bottom,
My
it'll tell you what your score is, and it'll kind of identify the ones you got wrong. So it may say conjunction, or it may say adverb. And what that is telling you is, you know, you may need additional study. So that is what that handout is for. If you, as soon as you identify, you know, areas, what you missed, then it just kind of lets you know, prompts you, review that a little bit further, take a look at the that handout and samples I included. So who wants to share it? Does anyone want to kind of throw something out at me that you maybe struggled with, something you got wrong, a particular question that you found difficult? Anybody want to share their findings? Look, I see you, Dwayne. Did you, did anybody make note? I hope we did this to make note of the results.
I got like the last 4 wrong.
Okay, that's okay.
And after this, like the 7th one, I started guessing. So I'm pretty,
Okay.
I got probably pretty much 1 wrong just doing it actually.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah. My score is 80%.
Okay. Did it identify which one you got incorrect?
1 second. Last.
The last one. Okay, so I heard you say Dwayne.
And 1 second, last and 7.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. Let me pull it up. And again, this isn't anything you'll be penalized before. It's just like that writing diagnostic. I just kind of want to know, what do we know about this terminology? Let's see. Somebody said preposition. Oh, yes. Pesky prepositions. Atara conjunction. Okay. Good. So you guys are kind of making note of the feedback it gives you. Once you complete the diagnostic quiz, it will throw out at the bottom under your score, it'll identify the areas. It'll point to what you got wrong. And then from there. So I see a couple here. I see prepositions. Yeah. Let me pull it up just really quickly for the sake of an example. Here it is. All right. So I know I'm sorry. I know that when we heard from Dwayne, he pointed out that like pretty much 7 to 10. From there, you felt like it may have gotten a little bit difficult. So you guys are identifying what that bolded word is, right? So I'm sure I've met you before. I'm sure I've met your girlfriend before. So met, what they want you to take a look at is how that word is being used in the sentence. So what action is taking place in this sentence? Right? We see the only action is the verb where they met. So anytime you are looking at what's happening in the sentence, any action, any state of being, like I am, she was, we were, you're normally identifying your verb. So where it says, I'm sure I've met your girlfriend before, this is a verb. So that may be an indicator to kind of study or review your verbs. And on that handout, even though it talks about verbs, it also introduces you to different types of verbs. So we have our helping verbs, your linking verbs, your action verbs. So just to give you a little bit more practice and background with that, especially if you struggled with it. So number 8, well, I don't think I'll be home before 6. That highlighted word is well. This is your interjection. Okay, I see you, Dwayne. All right, so with number 8, well, that's our interjection. If that's one that you got wrong or struggled with, interjection is on the handout as well. It's similarly fairly new. It's been added to the basic parts of speech, I want to say within like the past 20 years. But anytime you have a statement that is separate from the rest of your sentence. So you see how well is comma is kind of put aside to the rest of the statement. That's your interjections. Interjections interject, in some cases, strong emotion or attitude. So, well, I don't think I'll be home before 6. Well kind of shows the attitude of doubt, right? So an interjection is normally characterized with an exclamation point. It could be, wow, I don't think I'll be home before 6, or a comma, but it's always separate from the sentence or statement. So that's kind of a quick cheat in how to identify interjections. But if you got that wrong or struggled, that just points you to what you may need to study or review in that handout. Now, I think a couple of you stated conjunctions. So number 9, Andy knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So number 9 is the conjunction question. But is your conjunction. And conjunctions are incredibly important for the writer, because a conjunction links ideas. And not only do they link ideas in a sentence, so for my people who say you struggle with fragments, who say you struggle with run-ons, being aware or familiar with your conjunctions definitely help you with identifying if that's a fragment statement. If you need to attach an additional idea to it, conjunctions help you to link ideas to a statement. So I'm highly promoting, if you got this one wrong, or if you feel like your understanding of conjunctions is a little bit iffy, review the 8 basic parts of speech review sheet and study conjunctions. You'll learn that there are many types of conjunctions. We have our coordinating conjunction. Do you guys remember fanboys in either grammar or high school? It's like a mnemonic device that teachers normally use to help you memorize those coordinating conjunctions. Remember fanboys? For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so.
Yes, I remember.
You guys remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that is your conjunction. That's your coordinating conjunctions. And when you are normally linking an idea to a sentence, the coordinating conjunctions, it explains relationship. So where we may say but, then the relationship that statement is making to the rest of the sentence it's conditional. So it says Andy knocked on the door, but no one answered. So even though he knocked, no one came. So that's fanboys, or the coordinating conjunctions, show condition. Where we say, I walked to the store and went to my sister's house. And is one of your coordinating conjunctions that show in addition to. So on that handout that I have under week 2 module, I have a full breakdown on conjunctions. Not only do we have the correlating conjunctions, we have, I'm sorry, not the coordinating, we also have correlative conjunctions. So anytime you use not only, you know you have to use but also, either, or, neither, nor. Those are conjunctions. So if you know you are a little bit, again, iffy in that area, if your results from this diagnostic identified conjunctions, definitely study that on the handout. There's also a list there in the handout about subordinating conjunctions. So for my people who talked about fragments fragments are almost always characterized by a subordinating conjunction. Sometimes a student will want to start a sentence with which. And when you know that you're starting a sentence with a subordinating conjunction, you'll know that you're setting yourself up for a fragment. So just to kind of be aware of those, you know, the parts of speech and how they're working in your sentence helps with those grammar errors. So we'll get more practice. I'm not expecting you guys to have it memorized or know all of it, but anywhere where you missed a question and they pointed you to what that was, definitely review and study that. And Dwayne, I think he may still be here, but for number 10, where it says after lunch, let's go out for a coffee. And that's a preposition. So again, if you miss number 10, it's kind of just showing that you need a little bit more practice in preposition. I try not to roll my eyes with when I hear the word preposition, but I had a teacher, I'm getting a flashback from a teacher I had in grammar school who would, you know, she made me hate prepositions. So, but be mindful of what a preposition is, but I don't think you have to, you know, have it memorized. We don't kind of use this a lot in our writing or developing of sentences. But if you got it wrong, make sure you review or study that, okay? So I heard some of you guys say 80. For the most part, did we do okay with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know it may seem a little bit, I won't use the term elementary, but this is kind of like those foundations that in one way or another, if it was missed, it will impact how we write our sentences. And because sentences are the building blocks of our paragraphs and essays, while you may know how to write an introduction, while you may know how to write your body paragraphs and conclusion, if you struggle with conveying those ideas in a sentence, it can still sabotage your paper. So a component of writing is grammar and sentence skills. So we will talk about that, but that is all rooted in the basic parts of speech. So if on a basic level, you know you struggled, make sure you guys are completing that reading in module 2, okay? So I'm gonna move on past that for now. But if you guys have any questions or need any clarification, let me know. All right. And as you guys got the results back, did you kind of, were you making note of what it identified? Look, I just want to double check. Sorry to be worrisome.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the reading homework because this is what we didn't get a chance to talk about yesterday, the Maria Popova's Fixed versus Growth Mindset, that handout. And although we were supposed to talk about it yesterday, I think at that time, all of us hadn't completed the reading as of yet. So I want to pause really quickly. Like, how are you guys doing in making it through the readings? Do you feel like there is enough time with us having a back-to-back class for you to get a reading assignment like this done?
Yes, it was kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say it again, Robert. Look,
No, yeah, I said yes. I had to reread it to get a full understanding about it. But yeah, that was a decent read. It took about 30 minutes.
Okay, good, good. So with the readings, and I kind of want to let you guys know this because I know how it is. Once we get out of class, once I end the class meeting, then I'm up and I'm normally doing other things. So sometimes the time may not be there out after class for you to get reading done. And this is why I specifically start class at 12 instead of at 11, because if you missed any reading or missed any homework, you have that kind of quick hour before class to get it done. So if you didn't get to it that night, if you didn't get to it, get a chance to complete it, then the way that the class is carved out is to provide time for you. So do your best to make sure that you guys are completing the readings for discussions, because the discussions will be based on your response. So I want to bring up share with you guys a quick question. So let me just kind of test the temperature. Let me get this link. I'm putting into our chat box a quick link, and it is asking for you to give me a 1-sentence summary of your understanding of the text. So you guys see the link that I just dropped into our chat box. You guys will click on that and it'll take you to a Padlet. It's almost like a chalkboard. So each student's individual response, if you guys will preface it with your name. So maybe at the top of it, write, you know, Yamna before giving me, but in a single sentence. In the article, Fixed versus Growth Mindset by Maria Popova, she discusses and lay out what her main point is. 1-sentence summary. Let's take a couple minutes.
What you say? I don't understand.
Yamna, in the chat box, there is a link. So you click on the link, and that link will take you to a area where you can complete the assignment of submitting a single sentence summary. So you're writing in a single sentence what you feel that the article was about. And make sure you preface it with your name, just so I can kind of give you credit for it and identify your ideas.
Now?
Yes, that's what we're doing now.
Now there's open four name. Hello?
Yeah, so I see Anthony's already there typing. Shania is there, Jermisha, Julie. So I'm looking at you guys, I'm looking at what you're doing, but you'll have to access that link in order to respond to the question. And you'll see it there. Develop a single sentence summary of the author's main idea in your own words. I see Robert now. I see Jamisha. I see Alejandro.
Okay, we write about fixed and growth mindset.
You're just writing what you feel that the article is about.
Okay, a summary.
Yep, single sentence summary. Okay. And we'll take a few minutes on this. So I have. Now, if you didn't complete the reading, that's okay. But you will still have to come here and put that down. So if you, let's say, you know, aren't completing it because you don't have a summary about it, you would still need to come to this particular link, put your name in, and leave it blank if you must leave it blank. But the way that the participation points work is everyone has to participate. All right, so we'll take about 3 to 5 more minutes on this because it looks like most of you are done. Oh, Andy, I'm sorry. I just sent you a message and I see you. Never mind. Sorry about that. Right, I think for the most part, I think everyone who's here. All right, so I don't see you, Yamna. Are you able to access the link?
Yeah, I'm right.
Okay.
I right. I don't know why I'm not. I clicked down icon plus.
Hmm.
I'm not showing.
Yeah, it's not showing. I see Andy, Alejandro, Tara, Robert, Anthony,
Okay.
Shania, Jamisha, and Julie. Those are the ones who are either currently working or who have submitted so far.
I don't know why I'm not.
Tamicia, are you struggling to view the link as well?
No, I click on
No,
plus
I'm
sign.
doing it.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, you did it, Anthony. I see it. So you're good.
No.
You're good. No, I had got a message from Anthony and I was going to tell him he's good. Yes,
You
ma'am,
see
Shania.
me? No.
I was trying to see, okay, once I press upload and it say pick a file from your computer by dragging it. Why I say that?
Say it one more time. Say it. I'm sorry. Say that for me one more time.
I just tried to upload my response. And once I press upload on the side, it pops up pick a file from your computer by dragging it here or clicking it, the button below.
Well, you're already here, so I think maybe they're asking that if maybe you wrote it in a Google Docs or Microsoft Word file.
So
and
you see my response?
Yes, I see your response. Did I not say your name, Shania?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, because yeah, but I got you. So you're done. But this is something new. This sometimes I'll send a link. I've struggled with how can I know students' ideas on a paper if we're in this kind of video setting, right? Or how can I know students' ideas on a reading if I can't see them in some cases or can't necessarily hear from them? So the Padlet is really useful it's almost like a separate chat room, but I'm able to see it. So let me share it with you guys. I want you guys to see what I see so you can see how this works. A couple more. Yeah, it's auto post, Alejandro. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Let me show you guys what it looks like on my screen. Here, so can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is awesome for me because I'm able to see exactly what Alejandro thinks about it. I'm able to see what Julie thinks, Andy, Anthony, and where a person could, let's say, suffer in silence. What I say, maybe they may be struggling. This is easier for me to identify what's going on with each student. So we will do this more often. I didn't mean to put you on the spot though, because I don't know if I lost some people because if they didn't read, then maybe they felt like, oh, I can't do this. It's okay if you didn't, or if you but I still would want to hear from you. So before we talk about the fixed versus growth mindset, I'm just going to kind of.
Hello.
Yes, Yamna.
Yeah, I'm done. How many lines you want?
It's one sentence. It's a single sentence summary. So as long as it's a sentence, there is no line requirement.
4 or 5. Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and
post.
Okay, go ahead. All right, so let's talk about what you guys have here. So when we talk about a summary, right? A summary is different from an essay in that where an essay is normally driven by an opinion, summary is normally objective. You are simply let's say, taken on the role of a journalist or, sports announcer or newscaster. They strictly give you the details. They don't add their opinion to it. They don't add what they think or feel about it. They're objectively taking a look at a text and identifying key points or what that text is about. So this is giving us a little bit of practice with summary, and it gives us a little bit of practice with keeping it brief, because summaries are normally paraphrased or a shorter version. But I wanted to see first if you guys can identify the main idea and if you can kind of communicate that clearly and succinctly. So that's what I was looking for here.
You see?
Yeah, I can see it, Yamna. So I'll start with Jamisha. So the author was speaking about how mindsets can impact your life. Absolutely. Tara, the author's main idea was to discuss the difference between fixed versus growth mindset, how you can change your mindset and how it will impact your future. Absolutely. That is a strong summary in that it talks about the topic, that fixed versus growth mindset, and it also kind of includes the author's purpose with it. They're discussing fixed versus growth mindset so that you can see, how it impacts your life, right? Because I think the title is Fixed versus Growth Mindset, How the Basic Mindsets Affect Your Everyday Life. So see how a lot of times if we preview and take a look at that title, the title alone can almost be a single sentence summary. So those things are helpful if you struggle to find the main idea. Let's see what else we have. I see Alejandro says the author was comparing both fixed and growth mindsets and the impacts of each one. That's awesome summary there, because you guys see in the text, the length of it was the author going through great detail of discussion about what the impact, how each mindset impacts people individually. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Andy says the main idea is about the way you think can be the result of your success. Absolutely. How those mindsets will lead to success or failure. She talked about that. Yamna, the article told us that the two main mindsets that we can navigate through life, yep, growth and fixed. Having a growth mindset is essential for success. In this article, the author told us to develop the right mindset for improving your intelligence. That's a clear message there. Also pointing to the author's purpose. They are attempting to introduce us to mindset so that with that knowledge, we can use that information to improve not only our intelligence, but also quality of life, right? Just a few others. Tamicia, the author feels threatened by other people's success versus growth mindset. Oh, I see what you're saying. They would want other people feedback on what they're doing. So you're pointing out characteristics. So for the fixed mindset, you're saying they feel threatened by other people's success, while growth mindset is looking at feedback. What do I need to know in order to grow and improve? That's good. That is actually what she pointed to there. Who did I miss? Robert, did I say yours? Did I say Anthony's? The author's main idea of the summary, in my words, was to discuss the meanings between fixed versus growth and compare students to the two, fixed versus growth, and to see the results of each different student. Good. So here's what I'm able to see using this. Oh, yeah, I think it was something up with, I'm sorry, you guys, I got a message. But I can tell by using this Padlet that you guys had a good grasp of the information. In a single sentence, that forced you to just focus on what was the author's main point, and you guys did a great job of communicating that. So good. This helps me with our discussion on those post-reading questions. So I like Padlet. We may be using that a tad bit more often. But I want to go to the homework. You guys completed for homework I think it was like about 5 or 6 short questions about the reading. So I want to talk about our findings with that. So let me first go to the questions. Let's take a look at the questions. All right. So now with this, when you guys completed it, do I want to talk about, because I'm looking at only 8 people have completed it. We have like about 18 people in the class. If we talk about it, will you guys now just go through and add the answers? How can I do this? Since this was homework, then this was due today. Now, anything as far as me counting participation with it today, I'm counting who turned it in and who have it turned in right now. I'm counting that. Anything that I get after today and after today's discussion, it is going to be less credit. So I'll put it in as not as full credit, but half credit, because this was meant to be done for today's class. So anyone who didn't complete it, that's kind of how I'll make the distinction between that. But we're going to go ahead and discuss. So a couple of questions. How would you guys define fixed versus, how would you define fixed mindset? Have you guys noticed that the questions asked in your own words? So that means they don't want you to word for word write what the author wrote. They want you to paraphrase. So the term paraphrase means to take that information and put it in your own words. And when we paraphrase things, it goes through an extra comprehension process. So by you guys taking what you've read and then thinking about how to say it in your own words, it's kind of further cementing your learning. So that's a tool that you'll see, especially in the CRT. They do a lot of asking in your own words, describe the author's main idea. So this is something we're getting practice with right now. Let's look at responses for this. Instead of me downloading the actual link, anyone just kind of want to throw at me your definition of fixed mindset? I kind of saw Tamisie's reference to this in her Padlet response, in her single sentence summary. But who wanted to add, in your own words, how would you define a fixed mindset?
A firm mindset.
A firm mindset. Okay. Can we get a little bit more specific of characteristics of it? So when you say firm mindset, that's almost like another word for fixed, but I kind of still don't know what the definition of it would be. So how would you define a fixed mindset? What is a firm mindset?
I feel like they wait for opportunities to come their way. They don't actually go out and make them more.
Okay, so wait on opportunities, aren't necessarily proactive. That's a good definition. I like that. What else?
Straightforward.
Straightforward. I would say straightforward, yes, but it's more so of a mindset. So when you say straightforward, is it like a straightforward mindset? Like, what would straightforward thinking look like? You know what I mean? So when they say a fixed mindset, what is that mindset? How does that person think?
See, that's where I got not confused so much, but I got stuck on the word fixed. Now, when I think of the word fixed, in construction, I'm thinking that it has to be correct or right. But in this article, a fixed mind state was almost the opposite of that. Someone taking the easy way out, someone who tries to shy away from obstacles, which in my terminology would have been the opposite of a fixed mindset.
I see what you're saying, but in you breaking that down for me, Robert, you accurately defined fixed mindset, right? Someone who wants to take the easy way out, someone who, I'll give another example. Do you guys remember when we did the survey and the question was asked, do you think that writing is a talent? Some people have it and some people don't. Right? You guys remember that question?
Yeah.
A person with a fixed mindset would think that writing is a talent. There's nothing I could do to be better at writing. Either it's fixed that I have it or I don't. So it's not always a negative thing either. So I know some, in some cases we're saying taking the easy way out, and that may seem negative, but it kind of is really a mindset of, if I'm struggling with something, if something is hard to me, then it must not be meant for me, because things should come easy. If I have to work a little bit too hard at it, then that must not be you know, what's meant for me. So
Do you think that fixed mindset have anything?
uh-oh, Shania, you're going a little bit out.
Did you think that?
Oh snap, Shania. I heard you well at the beginning of it, but then it's like you got drowned out.
Do you think that fixed mindsets have anything to do with beliefs?
Yes, it absolutely is a belief system. A lot of times it's the belief in yourself, it's belief in you know, the world around you. Some people have it, some people don't, you know what I mean? If you guys read the article, you remember too, in the article they talked about fixed versus growth mindset in terms of relationships. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they talked about it. If you applied that mindset to a relationship, a person with a fixed mindset they look for soulmates, right? There is one person out here who's made for me, rather than I could be with someone and we can grow, you know, to a you know, fulfilling relationship. A person with a fixed mindset, the way they approach a task, the way they approach life, even relationships, it would be that if I have to work too much at it, if I have to work too hard at it, it must not be meant to be. You know, so it's a mindset or an attitude or belief system that shows up in everything that we do. So good. I can tell you guys have a good understanding of fixed mindset. What about growth mindset? If you could define that in your own words, how would you guys define growth mindset?
Growth mindset, they create their opportunities and they don't see failure as like the end. They just see it as a learning process.
Okay, that's a great paraphrasing of the mindset of growth, the growth mindset. Good. Did anybody want to add to that?
In the growth mindset, the person is always willing and ready to learn, like acquire new skills or better the skills he or she has.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're always willing to learn, looking for any opportunity to be better, right? To grow. Yeah, I like that, Julie. Good. What else?
Well, anything like I like to believe anything can be improved on.
Yes.
Like with phones, first they were real big, then they got real small.
Yeah.
Then they say, hey, let's improve them and make the screen bigger again.
Right.
I mean, everything can be improved on. The fastest runner can get a second shaved off his thing. And if he was willing to learn and grow by listening to his trainer, maybe he can.
Right.
I mean, that's what that I feel.
Right. And I like that explanation, the examples you use. Look, I shouted you out about that before, Robert. The examples, you know, like how you pointed to the phone, or even the trainer, how you said the person who's running and they want to shave some time off the clock. Well, they'll listen to the feedback, they'll listen to criticism and take it all in as an opportunity to improve and get better. Whereas if I'm going to compare that to someone with a fixed mindset, a person with a fixed mindset may take criticism as, they'll take it personal. You're not telling me how to improve or grow. It's more as an attack on, you know, the work that I've done. So it's kind of easy to identify based on, you know, the reading, where we may fall in terms of our mindset. What did you want to add, Shania?
I wanted to ask a question about the growth mindset. I understand that, you know, it's a learning mindset as well, but I was trying to see, okay, it was a part of learning to be successful.
Yeah.
But I was trying to see, wasn't it like either failure as well?
Well, they mentioned failure with growth mindset in that they're not deterred by failure. So they may fail. Like it may be a situation where, you know, they may, in some cases, have to repeat a class. They may have to rewrite a paper, but it's the attitude that they attach to it, as in, well, this just gives me another opportunity to be better, to improve, versus, let's say, the mindset of a fixed mindset where they may say, well, I'm just not good at writing. That's just something that I don't do well. And rather than work to improve, they accept that as fixed. They accept their state as fixed. There's nothing that can really you know, either you're good at it or you're not, right? Some people can do some things and some people can't. So growth does identify failure, but they take failure as an opportunity to grow or improve.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anybody want to add to that? All right, so you guys kind of see that the title. So if we're going to kind of take it back to our reading strategies, where in order for you guys to get the most out of a text, you look at the title, you look at the subtitles. The title of this text is Fixed versus Growth Mindset. Fixed versus Growth, the two basic mindsets that shape our everyday lives. So they're laying out how these mindsets get in the way of, you know, or how it impacts our everyday life. So some of you, you know, based on that single sentence summary, you pick that, using the title, maybe reading intro and conclusion, you were able to pick out what that main idea is. But previewing, the process of previewing would make that so much easier, right? Another thing, annotations, and I know we're doing questions right now, but I want to ask, take a quick break to ask, did you guys, while you were reading, did you jot down any notes? So I know if you had to read it electronically, it may be difficult to highlight them. Here's what I think is the main idea, underline details, but were you guys able to annotate, take notes as you were reading?
Yes.
All right, anybody else?
I used it as a
Yeah.
just an outline for me.
Okay, so you're saying, Jamisha, that as you're reading it, you're kind of, from each paragraph, you're kind of like outlining your thoughts on it?
Yes.
I like
so
that
it'll
strategy.
be easier for me to write an essay or write a response to it.
Good. Okay, so I like your approach with that.
I'm just reading.
Okay, so do you take any notes when you read, Yamna?
No, I'm just reading, not annotating.
Okay, the reading strategies that we've discussed in the class, I would like you guys, even if you don't normally annotate, to practice some sort of note taking. And the reason why is because even though you may read it and you may feel like, yes, this is fine, I understand it, I get it. If reading is supposed to be a conversation between you and the author, then in some cases you may perhaps need to circle vocabulary words. Maybe you came upon a vocabulary word you didn't understand, so you make note of that so you can look it up. Maybe you didn't understand something that was conveyed in the research in the article. You may make a note of, this is confusing, don't really get that. So note taking is really important in helping you to engage in the text, but also to really seek out that meaning. What is this text designed to show me or teach me? And I would like you guys to kind of start keeping track of vocabulary. We talked about Jason Oda. A lot of you identified indoctrination. In the past, I've had students look at manifest or certain words that were in that article. So keep track of the vocabulary. Anytime you had to look a word up, write it down, because that is vocabulary building, right? So kind of keeping track of that. But sometimes when we talk about text, I'll ask you, so what did you highlight or underline? Or I may ask, from your notes, what did you identify as meaningful? You know, what, as you read it, you had to either put a star by it, highlight it, or jot it down. So you guys will be reading from your notes to tell me or to answer those questions. So moving forward, as we're kind of getting a little bit more comfortable with the reading process, start to read with a notebook if you're doing reading electronically, or if you're printing it out and reading it, kind of keep track of your annotations or notes. It's all helpful in engaging you. And just as Jamisha mentioned, it's helpful when you in turn have to write about it. So rather than have to go through it and read it again to see what you wrote, you can read your notes, because the note is going to reflect your ideas about it. And your writing will normally ask, what did you think about it? How do you feel about it? Do you agree or disagree with it? And if you've been kind of jotting that information down, it'll make that process a whole lot easier. Okay, so we'll get a little bit more practice on that. I think I'll find ways of adding that into the assignment because I want to make sure we're doing that. All right.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, my printer is not working, and that's why I'm not annotate this, because in computer for me very difficult.
Okay, even if it's on the computer. So if it's electronically, if you have to read electronically, getting a notebook, and as you're reading paragraph 1, if you have any notes to jot down about paragraph 1, jot them down. If you read paragraph 2 and you have a note, so you can still jot down notes even if you're reading it from the computer screen. And that's what I want you guys to make sure you're getting in the habit of doing. So with number 3, in what ways do these two distinct mindsets think about success and failure differently? So we've already kind of talked about that in a way, but let me hear from someone I haven't heard from yet who may want to add to this. And I don't know if they may have the capability, you know, a mic to use, but Anthony, maybe Destiny, perhaps Alejandro or Andy, did you guys want to include any ideas about how these two mindsets think differently about success and failure? Anything to add, perhaps that we haven't covered?
Can I say something?
Oh, baby. I'm sorry, did somebody want to say? I'm sorry, who said that?
Can
Was
I
it
say
Julie?
something? It's Julia.
Yeah, go ahead, Julia. I'm
It's
sorry.
Julie. Okay, for the fixed mindsets, they tend to depend more on the final say from the critics, like if they are good or they are bad.
Ooh, I like
Like
that.
if they do something, if they excel in something, they take more of the positive critic and forget the negative critic. But for a person who is more involved with growth, the person tries to work more on the negative to improve on his or her strength and abilities, or improve skills.
Yeah,
But for the fixed mindset, they are just like, they are limited to a particular time, space, or event.
Awesome breakdown. I like that. So the person who's a fixed mindset, they tend to zero in on positive critique. They only want to talk about successes, whereas a person with a growth mindset, they tend to focus on what didn't I get right? What do I need to work on? What do I need to improve on? So they're, again, looking for every opportunity of growth. I like that breakdown. So fixed tends to focus more on tell me what I'm doing right. You know, they're kind of fixated on praise. Ooh, I feel like I'm describing my 16-year-old here. Look, I'm actually getting a picture in my mind in some cases where I talk about fixed mindset. And a lot of times, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shania.
I know, right?
You hear me, Robert?
Yes, I do. And like I said, I'm working with him on these online courses, and yes, this was an excellent tutorial for him.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, just in hearing you guys explain it and break it down, I'm getting a visual in that. You know, a lot of times he only wants to be. He struggles, so he focuses so hard on being good that sometimes I think the lessons are missed along the way. And I've seen too where if he doesn't excel in a sport, or if he's not good at it, he will want to quit the whole sport. And I'm like, well, why are we quitting? You know, if you're not good in the area, then we will work on it. So I see this, you know, manifest in, you know, in everyday life. Alejandro, let's see. So Alejandro adds, I think fixed mindsets would try more on stuff they can succeed rather than on new challenges. I like that point. Yeah, they won't even seek out what they feel they won't be good at. Won't even try it. It's only zeroing in and focusing on what they know that they will excel in. You say, because if they fail, they would feel dumb or not good, as you know the article states. Good. Yeah, they try to, I think, run from that feeling of failure, or run from that feeling of, you know, where you mentioned feeling dumb. They don't consider feedback as being constructive, right? Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. All right. And I know you guys have turned in your answers already. I'm just kind of just getting us discussing this out loud. With a little bit of time we have left, let me quickly run through this. Why were so many researchers unsettled by the private letters fixed mindset students wrote to their peers? Why do you think that the fixed mindset students responded that way? So you guys remember in the text, just a quick breakdown, Maria Popova is using the research of Carol Dweck. So she's referring to research that has already been conducted on these mindsets to help make her point. So one of the studies talked about, you know, students writing these private letters to the peers. So many researchers found this particular study unsettling, right? So why do you guys think so many researchers were unsettled?
Because they weren't honest in their responses. And then they were like telling their friends and stuff that they had higher scores and higher things than they really had, because they didn't want to seem less than what they were.
So we see how it's a manifest in attitude, behaviors. So it goes from how we think, then how we operate. So yeah, if they weren't good, or if they didn't excel at a certain task, they would lie and say that they did, right? Because they didn't want to risk failure in any form.
America right now. I said it seemed like America right now.
Oh, girl, yes, I'm visualizing someone thinking about that right now. But yes, absolutely, it was unsettling that in even getting the feedback or in even getting any information, they'll twist it. They will change it so that it kind of fits their narrative. And, you know, many of the researchers were unsettled by that. And again, it kind of goes back to what Alejandro stated, that it seems to be a wanting to run away from or deny any appearance of, and I mean, even though I'm using the word dumb, I would hope that any type of feedback or criticism would never be looked at as though someone is saying you're dumb. But I see how their mindset internalizes it that way. So yes, I you know, again, going back to Alejandro's point, that they don't even want to tell what they had in the letter because they don't want the appearance. They don't want people to think that they're dumb or to kind of even associate them with that in any kind of way. So yeah.
They lack confidence.
I'm sorry, say it again, Jamisha.
They lack confidence.
The confidence, yeah. In some cases, I would say, you know, some levels of insecurity in that area, right? But absolutely. So why do you guys think that the mind, okay, and you just kind of answered that, Jamisha, you know, it's a lacking of confidence, right? And again, sometimes appearances. I just want you, I want to look, you know, a certain way. What do you guys want to add to that? Is there anything we haven't covered with that? Why do you guys think that the students responded that way?
They want to keep up their image.
Yeah, again, it goes back to appearances, right? And when I think of this, it reminds me, I connected to the Jason Oda article where he talked about the young boy Malcolm, who when he spelled of wrong, he spelled a UV, and everybody, the whole class thought he was so dumb, how that taught people to just shut up and be quiet and kind of just do, you know, what you're told to do, because you want to avoid at all costs the appearance of sounding dumb or coming across dumb. So in some cases, I don't think it may be a person's fault that they think that way. Sometimes we're conditioned to think that way. Especially in the school setting, the educational back, teachers will praise those who do well. So you want to be praised. So, you know, so you only want to, you know, kind of seek out again that image or that attention. So I can see that. Let me see. I have a, Oh, so Shania says, which mindset fits me? I like that question. Honestly, at times I've had both. I'll be honest. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys before we get out of here is, do you think it's possible to have both? But we'll come back to that. Sometimes I think I'm both.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. When it comes to certain things, and I'm going to throw this out here, math. I've struggled with my mindset when it comes to math. Sometimes I have to talk myself out of, I'm just not good at it. To me, that's a fixed mindset. And so I have to combat that. So there are times when I recognize that I'm operating out of a fixed mindset right now. Sometimes when it comes to working out, I remember one time I had a friend who would want to go to the gym, and I'm like, I was talking about it in a way that some people work out and some people don't. Like, I'm one of those people who don't, so leave me alone. But again, that's a fixed mindset, right? Even if you don't, you can to get better and improve your health, So I've noticed that I operate at both. But I can tell you this, with maturing, as I've gotten older, I've shifted from fixed to growth, because just through experience, I've learned that failure isn't the end of it. When you learn to take failures and turn them around into successes is when you're really, truly successful. So it's kind of gone through experience, maturity. But I would say at times I fluctuate between both. Even in relationships, I remember in young, the minute someone would make me mad, oh, he's not for me, the end. And as I've gotten older, you just gotta kind of, mature a little bit in your thinking. That's a good question, right? Look, so you guys, in reading this, you were kind of seeing yourselves in fixed and seeing yourselves in growth. Did you guys notice that you exhibit both qualities? Anybody notice that in themselves?
Yeah.
No.
Ooh, look, who said no? I didn't even see the screen.
Not for me.
Okay, so you can tell already that, and I can kind of tell by the way you guys explained it, Jamisha, Julie, Alejandro, everybody who pretty much responded earlier, Shania, I can tell by the way you guys explained it, Yamna, that based on the way that you understand it, I can tell there's a growth mindset working. You know what I mean? So it's kind of easy to tell that you guys are comfortable with that information. All right, do you think it's possible? We just talked about that. Do you guys all agree that it's possible to change from a fixed to a growth mindset?
Yes.
Yes, it is possible.
Once you're aware, you change from it.
Yep. With that awareness. And that's one reason why I introduced this text in this class. I always come across students who tell me, I'm just not good. I'm not good at writing. I'm not good at reading. I'm a horrible reader. I had one student before who I wondered why she was always quiet in class. Like she, even sometimes if I would call on her directly, she would not talk. And I kind of was wondering, and I remember when I talked to her, she let me know that, she wasn't really comfortable in her, because she had so much in the past been told that either she said something wrong, she pronounced something wrong. She had a mindset of fear of, if I say this, I may look or sound dumb, or, so I've seen it completely shut students down. So it's a mindset that once we know about it, once we're able to recognize it, then hopefully we definitely can do what's necessary in order to change it. All right. Good. Now, I know you guys submitted your answers. I just want you to see that I do have your answers. I'll grade you guys accordingly and give you your homework class participation grade on this, okay? All right, so let me get you guys out of here. Before we go, let me go back to my agenda so I make sure I don't forget. I wanted us to talk about summary writing. We didn't really get a chance to, but we can talk about that. Make note of the homework, you guys. Anything you didn't read or complete from last week, try to get that to me. If you didn't complete these questions that we just covered today, that's okay. Okay, you can still get credit for it, half credit for it if you submit it anytime after. But make note of the homework. We are reading and annotating. So I want us to attempt to make notes while we read Malcolm X's Learning to Read. And this particular text is in the PDF, textbook PDF that I posted, but I will, I guess I can also add a link for it, but it's on page 12 of the Malcolm X, and I'll add this to my notes when I give the homework reminder on Brightspace. So you guys are reading, learning to read, read and annotate, read and annotate. And even if you are reading electronically from a screen, just kind of jotting down your notes, because I'm going to ask about your notes. What did you make note of? What vocabulary words did you identify? What did you identify as being the author's main idea? So if nothing else, once you pinpoint what you think that author's main idea is, make a note of it. I'm going to ask you guys. Any vocabulary, jot it down and make a note. So we'll come back together on Monday to discuss the reading. Don't forget about the video, welcome video that you guys have to post to.
I'm asking something. The
Sure.
videos, the video is important? Make video.
I'm sorry,
Is it
say one more
necessary?
time, Yamna.
Yeah, I have question. The make videos important, necessary.
Say it one more time for me, Yamna. Look, I have outside background noise that's kind of messing me up
Oh,
a tad bit. One more time.
I'm saying the making video is important.
Is making video important?
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's
like
the assignment.
necessary.
Yeah, so that is an
Okay.
assignment. So it's on the I think it's week 2 module. So the assignment sheet is under the required reading for week 2.
And a deadline.
Yes, due Friday, June 12th.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, you guys.
I'll try.
No. I have outside noise, so it's the dog, the music blasting, and
It's
now
okay.
my kids are banging on the door. So I'm sorry to have you repeat it so many times, but I heard you.
Oh, no. It's okay.
Okay. Are there any questions about the homework? If you haven't done the
I have
video,
a question.
I'm sorry, say it again.
The video, are we directly posting it to you, or we are posting it as a thread?
You're posting it on the thread. So on the assignment sheet under week 2 module, it gives full directions on how to submit it. But you guys are submitting on Brightspace under discussion board. So you're not sending that to me.
Okay.
And it's a 2-part assignment. You post a video and you must respond to someone else's post. Okay, so if you guys struggle with that between now and when you submit it, contact me. Call my Google Voice number, email me. We can talk about it. I can walk you through it. Okay. Any other questions, you guys?
No.
That Malcolm X reading is awesome, so I'm excited to see what you guys think about that. If you haven't emailed me your journal entry and you need help with it, stay with me after, and we'll work on that together. So I think Shania, you asked me earlier. Anthony, how are you doing, Anthony, with the if you need me, stay after.
Yeah,
Other than that, so are you okay with dropping it in the Google Drive box, Anthony? Did you have any issues with that?
Yeah, I need help with that.
Okay, so we'll talk about it. All right, if you guys have no other questions, I'll be putting together week 3 module if you wanted to get a head start on it, but if not, focus on week 2 and make sure you guys are getting those assignments in. And if you have any questions or difficulties, let me know.
Will do.
All right, my people, enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch back up on Monday at 12. We'll stick with that same schedule.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye, you guys. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right, and those who need to talk
I have
about
a question.
journals, we'll cover it really quickly.
The article on fixed and growth. Are we supposed to write the essay out of it then send to you?
You said the article that's, I'm sorry, say it one more time, Julie.
The article on the fixed and growth we just did today, are we supposed to write an essay and send to you?
No, so you're talking about those questions that we just covered?
No, I mean the essay in like general. Are we supposed to write an essay out of the article?
Not yet. No, not yet. We are, we're reading, so we're kind of practicing on those reading strategies, you know what I mean, first, and then after we've read and generate ideas, then we'll have an essay assignment, but not yet, so don't worry yet. Next week, I think the article, the essay, which I'll give you a heads up, the essay question will ask you, out of the articles that we've read, which one motivated you the most and why? So that's next week, but it's going to be based on you making a choice of the articles we read, whether that's the fixed versus growth, whether that's the Malcolm X one, or the Jason Oda one. Which one did you feel motivated you the most and why? Okay, but that's next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no worries. Have a good one. All right, so Destiny, Jamisha, Anthony, let's talk about this journal. So one thing I made a note of, Dwayne told me, was when you guys are saving it, you're going to have to download it.
Okay.
So let me pull up my screen so I can share it with you guys. So Anthony, when you would work on it, where would you, Anthony and Destiny, when you guys would work on it, where would you struggle? Like where you were fine until you got to what part?
The Dropbox.
Dropbox. Okay, dropping it.
Because I don't see like Dropbox on mine. Mine should say Drive.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's right. I'm using, it's the language I'm using. The Drive is the Dropbox. So I see what you're saying. Google Drive. But it operates as a Dropbox. So you can either upload the document to the drive, or if you have the document downloaded, you can just, okay, so I'm gonna show you guys. Let me share my screen with you so I can show you what I mean. Okay. So what I have right in front of you, this is the drive. So from that link that I shared in our chat box, when you click on that link, this is what you will see. So this is directly in the drive. A student emailed me earlier their journal entry. So they took a picture of it. From that email, I clicked to download that file. So I downloaded it. And if you can see my mouse at the bottom, this is where they house my downloads. Now, I think individually it'll be different on your computers, but I'll show you each way that you can find your downloads. For me, it showed up here. So I can take this download with the screen open. I can take this download. Here it is. I can take it and I can just drop it here. And it's automatically in this folder. See where it says uploading one item?
I see that, but on mine, it just said like add, like upload, and then I uploaded it, and then I added Jamisha, like my name and my entry number.
Oh, that's right, because you were looking at it on your phone. That's what I was supposed to be doing different.
Yeah, and it's showing that it's uploaded, but I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, okay, hold on. So Anthony and Destiny, are you guys also on your phones with it?
I'm on a computer.
On a computer. Okay, Anthony. Hold on, Jamisha. Okay, hold on, I'm coming right back to you. I'm doing more than one thing. So Jamisha, you just want to know, is it here? Did you save it with your last name and journal entry number 2?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I should be able to locate it pretty easy. Let me see.
I saved it with my first and last name.
Okay. Yeah, this is Tara. I keep going back to, hold on really quickly. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, I got way too many things running. So it's moving a little bit slow. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so back here. And you said your last name and your...
It said Jamisha Nichols, entry number 2.
Just me looking at it like this, I don't see it because I see Dwayne's. I see journal entry number 2 here. I think that was
And I
Tara.
wrote it out.
Oh, you wrote it out. Okay, I see. So it wouldn't be on, you didn't save it on the file. Okay, so I would have to click on it to see. Let me then see. It could be this one. I'll see. All right, so, okay, let me, I think I got about 4 or 5 that's untitled. So give me just a second to click. Oh, wait a minute. That's Dwayne. Let me try this one.
Because I know when you clicked in on the first, I thought I saw mine, but I don't know if that's number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, now I have your number 1. And
Okay.
all of those wouldn't be saved, but. Right, give me just a second, Jamisha, because I'll go through it and because I have to kind of click on each one and pull it up. But moving forward, you guys, when you save it as a file, save it with your name, because you see how when it has your name, I can just see automatically that that's yours. You know what I mean? Instead of having to check on it. But let me get Anthony and Destiny really quickly as far as just showing them how to do it, and then I'll kind of go through and confirm that I have yours. So give me just 1 second. I'll come back. So Anthony and Destiny. Destiny, are you on a computer or a phone? Oh, look, Destiny may have put me down for a second. Okay, Anthony. So you have it already saved, yes?
Yes, saved.
Okay. So come, click where you see my mouse, where you see new. Now, do you see this menu to the left? Do you see new?
Oh, I'm still on my Google Docs right now.
Oh, okay. Well, click on the link for Google Drive in the so when you say you're in Google Docs now, have you saved it already?
Yeah, it's already saved.
Okay, you have it saved already. Yeah, come to the link that's in the hold on, let me go back to our chat room link. And I'll post it new so you don't have to scroll so far looking for it.
Can you post it again? Because my computer not letting me go back up to the top.
Yeah, let me get it. Here it is right here. Look, I copied and pasted and it refreshed it for me. Okay, I'm posting it now. Okay. So even though you typed it up in Google Docs, Anthony, and you saved it, this is where you'll go to upload it or to drop it, okay?
Okay.
When you click on that, you should be in.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so you're in, and you see over to the side where it says new.
All right.
Okay, so you would click on new.
Okay.
And wherever you have it saved, so you click on file upload because you've done it already.
Right.
So you would click on file upload. Look, I'm clicking on it like it's like I had to say. But you would locate that document, and then whatever it is, you would just click on it, and it's going to automatically drop it in the box.
The thing on Google Docs, it automatically saves, so I didn't really save it to a file yet.
Oh, that's right. I know what you're saying. Okay, let me see if we the created item. Oh, I see what you're saying. I think you have to share it.
Yeah, it says share right here.
Only because I haven't done it with Google Docs. So look, I'm learning right along with you, Anthony. So hold on real quick. Look, I was asking my son because his teacher make him do that as well. Anthony, I think that there's a way when you click share, does it give you an option to add that that folder address, the kind of link that I just posted?
It says give your untitled document a name before it's shared.
Okay, yeah, so name it journal entry 2. And then your name, either Anthony or Collier, whichever one. Then once you save it.
Okay, it's saved. Now it says share with people in group on my screen.
It says share with people or groups.
And groups on my screen.
Okay, let me hit with share. Here, let me hit share and see if I'm seeing what you're seeing. I know y'all, this is a little rough. Look, bear with me, I'm gonna get it. Don't worry, we're gonna get this. Use my Google address right now. Go ahead and just share it with me to my Google account. Hold on, let me type it in chat. All right, I'm giving you my Gmail account because it'll pull up for me, and then when I do it, I'm able to tell you how to do it. So let me try it first. So send it to me. Kyron, swipe it. Okay. That'll have me within that Google system. So go ahead and send it to me that way right now, and then I'm gonna follow up with you. Okay, Anthony?
Okay.
All right. Look, thank you for being patient. Have you sent it already?
Yeah, I'm typing it right now.
Okay. All right, so Jamisha, let me click on these things, girl. I'm sorry, because I got a couple. Oh, that's Dwayne. I clicked on his and I can see it already. Let me stop sharing this screen so it'll move faster if I'm clicking on it on my own. Okay. Don't see it there. I have some people who posted things like 3 times. So funny. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. I don't think I see it, Jamisha. I think that's the last one. Yes, I clicked on it. This one right here is, somebody submitted a blank one. So, okay, so this is blank.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, so I don't see it. I don't see it at all, Jamisha. Yeah. What is this? That's Yamna's.
I'm gonna try to take a picture. Then.
Yeah, I got a couple people who sent me blank ones. That's okay. I know this is.
Okay, it's processing uploads now.
Okay.
It says it's completed.